Lots of boat people will tell you that bigger is better. Buy the biggest boat that you can afford. I'm one of those people. I've said that probably several times, and now I'm here to tell you I don't agree with that. I really don't, and here's why. This is a 12-foot aluminum V-hull boat. There's a couple of benches built in, there's no electronics, drain plug in the back. There's really nothing. When you have a little boat like this, you can carry the engines around. I pull the engines off, put them on my engine stand in the garage. The engines need very little maintenance and winterization. I do have some seats, and once again, I can just unscrew those and put those in the garage. And that's it, I'm done. There's not a whole lot to this. And when something goes wrong with that engine, I pop that engine off and work on it. That's all there is. Pretty simple and straightforward. Oh, and of course, towing a boat like this. I'm sorry, you can tow this boat with anything. Heck, I move it around the yard just by grabbing a hold of the front of the trailer. So, you know, basically any kind of vehicle can tow this little old boat. Okay, sure, you're limited. You're only putting yourself, maybe one other person in this boat, not going out in any rough waters, and really, quite frankly, it's just a really tiny little boat. So let's say you step up to something else. Let's say you get around a 19-foot boat with an outboard on there. Not too shabby, right? Bigger boat, bigger problems. So our 19-foot boat, that was really kind of our first proper boat. So you have a few more things whenever you get a boat about that size. So now you've got a bilge pump, you've got a remote throttle, you've got electronics. Now you've got more problems because you got the bigger boat. So there were a few more challenges. I wasn't just popping that 90 horsepower engine off and put it in my garage, so did have to winterize that on the boat. Well, the 19-foot boat needed to be pulled with something a little bit more heavy duty, of course. Had to make sure I covered it over for the winter, did a few more steps for winterization. Of course, we found out that in the waters we boat in, the situations that we get ourselves into, that boat really wasn't quite big enough for us. So then we went with our 23-foot boat. Yeah, so now we have this 23.5-foot inboard outboard boat. It's even more complicated. You got your duo props, got your inboard outboard engine with all of its crazy headaches. I mean, there's 8 spark plugs in there. There's risers and manifolds and bellows and gimbal bearings and all kinds of other nonsense that my other boat didn't have. We've got things like a fresh water system on there, which needs to be winterized and taken care of. Fresh water system means I've got a faucet, so then you've got a pump and you've got switches and you've got plumbing. We've got a place for a porta potty. We've got more electronics, more seating. And then on top of it, oh yeah, you buy the bigger boat. Next thing you know, you got to buy a bigger truck to be able to tow the bigger boat because you realize your old truck ain't got the guts to be able to tow it out. I have to phone a friend whenever I want to tow out my 23-foot boat. My truck can't handle it. All that stuff means there's more things to go wrong. Bigger boat, bigger problems. And then whenever you get even bigger boats, like something like 35 feet or whatever, which, you know, once again, everybody aspires to have as big a boat as they can have, now you've got even more problems, because a lot of times those boats have 2 engines on them. Or maybe you get one of those ones which has 4 outboards on there. You know, like those ones with all those Mercury Verados on the back of them or whatever. That's a lot of maintenance. That's a lot of things to go wrong. And bigger boats use a heck of a lot more fuel than little boats. Guess what? You buy a 35-foot boat, it has things on there like a windlass for like bringing your anchor in. Oh, that's something else that can break. It has things like bow thrusters to be able to help maneuver it into the marina. I don't have any bow thrusters or windlass on my 12-foot boat, so I don't have to worry about those breaking on me. Not to mention just the fact that you've got a boat that's just gigantic. So storing this thing, marina fees, all that sort of stuff, all of that goes up. Ooh, and if you pay somebody to shrink wrap your boat in the wintertime, they charge by the foot. So a 23-foot versus a 33-foot boat costs a lot less to winterize and shrink wrap. So it's not like the expenses kind of go up just a little bit with each bigger boat that you get. They seem to go up a lot. So what am I saying? Everybody should ride around in a little John boat like mine? No. Just be aware of the fact that when you buy a bigger boat, it's got a lot more things on it, a lot more things that can go wrong. And because it's a boat, a lot of them will go wrong. I have to admit, the more time I spend doing things to my bigger boat, the more I appreciate my really tiny little boat. Yeah, I can't take it everywhere and I can't do everything with it. But shit if I don't appreciate the simplicity of this thing. You don't have to buy the biggest boat you can afford. Maybe you should get the biggest boat that you're comfortable with. Because, quite frankly, I don't know if I even want a boat any bigger than this boat. I mean, sure, once in a while it's nice to daydream and imagine you're out there on a yacht and you got a crew with you and you got 20 of your friends out there on the boat. Yeah, that's great. Maybe you can rent one of those for the day, but owning one of those? I'm not Italian, I can't do the forget about it thing really good, but you know, forget about it. Unless you've got the means to have somebody else do all the work to that boat, and you don't mind spending all kinds of money, then go ahead, get the biggest boat you can afford. Oh, need the bigger boat to pick up chicks. What are you picking up, mermaids? Anybody who's riding on your boat's getting on at the marina, and they aren't saying, what size boat do you have before they get on? Or are they? I don't know.